Also seen another interesting creature in Papua New Guinea, and I'd like to talk to you a little bit about that after this short break.
Good day.
Gary, could you tell me a little bit about this creature that you saw in New Guinea that the locals were calling Mermaid?
Yes, that was another astounding thing. I was around about that same time. I was on a coastal steamer, one of the small cargo vessels. This is in 1973, sailing along the coast between Madang, on the north coast of New Guinea, between Madang and Madang and Wewak. And of course, being mad on wildlife, I'd spend every moment observing the surface of the ocean, of watching frigate birds. And I'd see sharks occasionally, and spinner dolphins spinning out of the water, sea turtles, and of course terns, and other birds, and occasionally manta rays. And then I was surprised to see a rounded head on the surface, a dark rounded head on the surface of the ocean, right in front of the vessel. I was standing near the bow, and it pulled its head down into the water. And the water was crystal clear, and within a few seconds we were travelling over this animal, and it was descending tail first. And I could see a distinct head, a rounded sort of head. It was dark in colour, and a sort of a body and a tail, and it was sinking tail first down into the water. Now I took that to be a dugong, because I'd seen pictures of dugongs feeding their young sitting at the surface of the ocean.
Yeah.
And so I thought that had to be a dugong. But years afterwards, when I actually got to see dugongs don't act anything like this animal. They have quite a head that's almost like it's a bit different related to elephants. They've got a head that's sort of maybe shaped a little bit like a small hippopotamus. And they don't sit with their heads sticking above the water, and they don't descend tail first. They just move like a dolphin. They come to the surface and sound. But anyway, I took that animal to be a dugong, because I'd never seen a dugong previously. And then I was talking to one of the elders. I was always talking with the natives, asking them, what animals they had seen, and talking about their culture. I kept detailed notes, and this elderly man was going through all the animals that he knew of, and because I was after interested in things like bowerbirds and birds of paradise and tree kangaroos and things, and he told me about this animal that they had hauled up in a fishing net.
Yeah.
And he described it as black and having the body of a woman and the bottom half of like a dolphin. And of course I just started laughing at him immediately.
Right.
That's a mermaid. That's a mermaid. No such thing could possibly exist. And he got quite upset at me, and he was saying, no, we caught this, we dragged it up in the net, and we're absolutely amazed. We're looking at it, and had eyes a bit like a dolphin, and we were so scared and so amazed that we immediately returned it back to the sea. So I mean, I just found this too astounding. I couldn't believe for 1 second that there was any such thing as a mermaid until I received a journal of the International Society of Cryptozoologists about expeditions in New Guinea looking for the ree or mermaid, and they described exactly the same animal, and it turned out that this animal was known quite well in certain places, including New Britain. And I'd travelled through New Britain and New Ireland, but I had never asked if people had seen mermaids. I wouldn't even think to ask them such a thing. And then, of course, that made me think, oh my goodness, that animal that I saw resembles very closely the description of these rees. And then I also encountered in a very interesting book, it's called The Field Guide to Bigfoot Yeti and Other Mystery Primates Worldwide by Lauren Coleman and Patrick Huey. And I was absolutely astounded to read of a mermaid being caught the Morotai Islands, in the northernmost islands of the Halmahera group in Indonesia, which was just to the west of where I had this sighting. And they described, it was a US Navy man by the name of Ryan Mallard, actually observed the native fishermen dragging this remarkable thing up in a net, and he took it at first to be a shark, and 1 minute it seemed human, the next it looked like a 7-foot-long shark, and when he asked the natives what it was, they said, we've caught another mermaid, and he wanted to make the natives let it go, but they said, no, we'll not kill it, it'll just die itself. And they dragged it up onto the sand, tangled in the net, and they tried to escape for about half an hour.
How could it escape if it's got a tail?
Well, it was struggling to escape, get away from the net that it was entangled in, and he described it as being that the bottom part was exactly like a dolphin with a double fin at the end, but from the navel up it looked as human as any person you'd meet on the street. But the features were coarse, and had a long pointed nose, and a sort of a pinkish red sort of complexion. And the local people told him that these mer beings travelled in schools and were very frightened of contact with humans. And when a boat approached them, they would signal to each other and then dive to great depths. And that they used their hands, which had 4 fingers and the thumb, to drag themselves up onto the beach at night. And these Morotai Islanders regarded them as just part of their natural environment, something they would kill and eat as food. And so, what this tends to show then, remarkably enough, and I was too astounded to believe it for a moment to
Sure.
was that these mermaids may have once existed, perhaps they still do, and that they are actually a species of aquatic primate.
Well, Lauren Coleman, he thinks that there are species of marine primates around the world. In fact, he says that the chupacabras is some form of marine primate too.
Yes, that's correct. I was looking at a picture of the Jersey Devil.
Yes.
That was originally drawn in, I think, 1924, and it actually showed an animal similar to that, but with webbed feet. And that's right, I have read that Patrick Coleman believes that they're a group of aquatic apes